Hello and welcome to Roleplay Rejects, where we play new and unusual tabletop role-playing games. This season we're playing Shadows of Esteren, so let's Esteren some shadows.
Have y'all seen the Purple Rose of Cairo?
No.
You made that up
I
just
don't know
now.
what the heck that is.
It's a movie. So it's an old timey movie. I don't want to
Bless you.
guess the time period it was made because it's weird enough that it could have been made in like the 40s, but was probably made in like the 80s. Purple Rose.
Maybe the real Purple Rose is a French
Cairo, 85. Yeah. So the Purple Rose of Cairo is one of those movies that has a very unsatisfying ending where you're like, oh, she's gonna like get the guy and it's gonna be like all cute at the end, and it's just like, no.
Oof.
It is devastating to watch. It's from 85, so spoilers, here they come. The idea of the movie is this girl is in a bad marriage and she goes to the movie theater to escape it.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up watching more and more movies. And then one day there's a problem with the projector and all these movie characters step out of the screen.
Oh.
And she starts having a relationship with the main actor that she's just fawned over for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual actor's like, what? There's someone impersonating me in this town, and comes down there and he's a total asshole. And eventually him and all of his lawyers like convince the movie people to go back into the movie. And the lady's like, no, like don't go back in the movie. And he's like, well, if you're going to be happy, you should probably be with a real person. You should probably be with this actor.
Ew.
And the actor, to make the movie guy happy, is like, yeah, like I'll treat her right. Just get back in that movie. He gets back in the movie. The actor gets on the train, and the girl's left in her little podunk town in
That's so
her
sad.
bad marriage.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's super sad, right? Anyway, but that's one of my favorite movies
Oh.
because I love it when movies like subvert your expectations like that. You're like expecting one thing, and then it's just like, nope,
Yeah.
she's gonna be unhappy forever. And you're like, oh, like this is heavy. And
Yeah.
the movie's all about escapism, right? And how you should live in the real world and like try and fix things, but sometimes things just suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Not the
kind of reminded me about this campaign, right?
Yeah, I don't think it ended like tragically necessarily.
Yeah.
Though Eoghan is now hated by the Feyend and potentially the human world.
the
because of
humans,
this.
because he killed like 100 people.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, in my head canon, that news hasn't spread yet to like
Yeah.
where we are,
Okay.
but it probably will at some point.
But
Oh,
he is
yeah.
wanted.
He is wanted.
He killed 100 people.
is wanted by the humans for the bounty.
Yep.
Is wanted by the Feyends for
For to eat.
beacon
To
energy.
eating him. Yeah.
Like he's
He's
kinda
on the
screwed.
run
And
for
his
a
mom
while.
is like
Dead.
basically dead.
Yeah, a vegetable. Hey, it all came full circle.
Or Eoghan.
Oh, I should have had your vegetable growth spell work on his mom.
There we go.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oof.
There's this. I heard this thing one time. I don't know if any of you have played the Dark Souls series, but
I
there's
have
this
not.
phrase in the community that there are no happy endings in Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, none
Because
of
the NPCs,
characters.
yeah, they all have like none of them. Like you yourself have a very neutral ending most of the time, depending on what you believe on the path you go down.
Okay.
But the side stories of like the NPCs you meet that have longer storylines, like usually either end in tragedy or mediocrity, right? None of them have a happy ending.
Yeah.
So,
The Onion Knight from
yes, that's
Dark
exactly
Souls 3.
yeah.
Like you end
Oh.
up seeing him a few times along
Okay.
the way, but it's things like, oh hey, I happened to be trapped in a well. Would you mind fetching me some of my armor?
Mm-hmm.
And you find his armor and you like throw it down the well. And then you meet him again and he's like, oh, there's some, rapscallions up ahead. Perhaps we should go ahead and vanquish them. And like, just
Okay.
seems like the nicest guy in the whole world.
Okay.
But you're going through these levels and you descend deep, deep, deep down into like an underground kind of like citadel sort of a thing.
Okay.
And then you end up going into the boss room where you see Yorm the Giant. And Yorm stands up and like starts walking towards you. And as your character's like walking towards him, the Onion Knight, just kind of like comes out, puts a hand on you, pushes you back, and then he walks forward. Because he apparently knew this guy. And then if you're like me and didn't realize that there's a fucking sword in there that is super good against the giant, the knight dies, and that's it. He's dead. You die. You come back. That's it. He's gone. He's dead. That's the end of his storyline.
I really like, not to make this an ad for Dark Souls,
Yeah,
but in
go
Dark
for
Souls
it.
1, virtually the same character exists. He's a knight from the land of Caria. The Onion Knight wears the same armor. I think it's Caria. Anyway, in Dark Souls 1, it's all about the undead, right? And like, what you like, literally, your willpower has a direct relationship with your sanity, right? There are all these undead people that are like just like kind of mindless zombies attacking people on sight because they no longer have any humanity, right? Is what they call it in that game.
Okay.
And it's like a tangible thing. And you can die and come back as many times as long as you have some drive, right? So you meet the Onion Knight, and he's stuck like behind a bridge because he can't get the gate open. You get the gate open, and then you see him again later, like strapped behind a puzzle. You solve the puzzle, and this theme keeps repeating. All while he's telling you about how he was like a knight in his hometown, and he came here to set a good example for his daughter, and how he's gonna come, ring the bell of awakening and save all the undead from the curse, right?
Okay.
But every time you meet him, it's very clear that he is not capable of doing that. You are, right? And then so when he's finally at the end of his rope, you both fall for a trap. And he goes, well, we have to fight these monsters. Like, please stay here. Like, I'll distract them so you can get away at least. So he jumps in to fight them. You, being the chosen undead, you jump him after him and you save him. And he goes, oh, thank you. You saved me again. And then you don't see him for a while after that. And so you see another knight character in the same armor set, who you think is him because they're in the same armor set, and it's pretty big. But you figure out that is his daughter who came to find her father.
Oof.
And so you start journeying with her for a bit, and you don't find her dad again until he says succumb to despair and is mindless because he's realized that he's not the hero he's supposed to be.
Oof.
When you find his dad again, you find him attacking his daughter, and you have to choose to either and then you essentially have to help his daughter kill her dad.
Dang.
Yep.
That is rough.
Yeah.
So at least we're not like...
It could have been worse,
been real
bro.
bad.
This isn't the same at all. Like, not even remotely, but it makes me think of Rick, the door technician.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Rick the door technician?
Just play Star Wars. Jedi
The new one?
Survivor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I am on the second planet, but
Just
I'll
keep
keep
on
going.
playing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
see him.
He's MVP.
Mm.
Okay. All right.
But enough about other stories that have not happy endings. Let's talk about our story that had a
Yeah,
not happy
dude.
ending.
I love the ending, right? Because when we started, right, we were just trying to make some money, we'd help out this guy, find some,
Plants
herbs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It started out so
So easy. Right?
safe.
well, no, it started out like any MMO. where
started-
you have to,
Yeah,
like,
that you get the gather quests,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
go and
Lord
gather
of
these
mechanics.
10 red flowers. Oh, these ones that are right fucking next to you?
Those are the
Sure.
ones.
I
Gather
can't.
'em.
My wife has a bad back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know I'm the hero of time, right? Yeah, I need those flowers though.
But yeah, like we started like that, just doing a job, and then we were trying to just extort Eoghan out of some money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Initially, and like yeah,
Oh yeah, we were.
You were.
We're trying to not we.
we our quest comrade. So we, went along with them, but like at the end of the day, we were just filling another quest of just it was a escort quest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of bring Eoghan to see his mom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, and that's what it was like the whole game, right? Like
Yeah.
there was a time skip in the middle, but it was like the quest objective was always take Eoghan to his mom.
Yeah.
and then we did it. So the campaign ended, right?
Oof.
Like,
Yeah.
But like, and I feel like in a real world scenario, obviously, there's like fantasy shit. I made trees grow and like someone's encased in amber, still alive? Question mark.
hopefully,
But like, in an actual kind of a adventure, right? It's got to end at some point.
Yeah.
And like, though D&D or like
Lord of the Rings
Pathfinder, Lord of
type.
the Rings, like any of these like epic fantasies have like these elaborate send-offs. They've defeated the Dark Lord and everything. But like here, like work still needs to be done. You don't fix everything with one epic fight. You don't fix everything by tossing a ring into a volcano. You're like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of issues. And like, yeah, we answered one question, but now got like 60 more questions to answer.
Yeah. It's tough.
And we do that over and over again until we die.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what life is, though.
Yeah. Thinking about this setting, I never read the rule book 100%, right? You did.
Yeah.
How much of this was your like headcanon and how much was like the book says Feondas are masked and XYZ?
A lot of like the early Feonda stuff was from the book. Like there are masked Feondas. They kind of they do kind of act like the organizational guy for all the non-masked ones, right? Like that's not like an all the time thing.
Okay.
It's like they are just the masked ones are capable of, I guess, like I don't want to say controlling, but like I guess commanding the non-masked ones. Yeah, influencing the other ones. And they are the toughest ones. Like that's from the book as well. Yeah. So the masked Feondas always existed. Yeah, I think a lot of things about them are from the book.
Okay.
I
really like this setting.
Yeah, all the things that aren't are the Feond relics, right? Like the rock that Otis found and the sword that Soul has. Those aren't in the books. Like Feondas being in things is not in the book. I just like that idea.
Okay. No, I think that's a fucking incredible
really
addition.
cool.
And hey, writers out there.
And then but for the most part, yeah, and it's pretty like what they can do, right? It's like, oh, they're spooky. It's like the most guidance they give for the most part is like they look like the element kind of, right? Or like what they're related to, right? Like the tree guy looks like Barky, right? Like the forge guy has iron and magma. Like they fit a theme very clearly, right? Like yeah.
Frost look frosty.
She looked covered in amber when you saw her, I guess. Normally she would have really pale skin, so I guess that would.
Okay.
Cool.
Her name
Is the
Amber
volcano
now.
guy from the book too?
The volcano guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Feond up there?
Yeah.
No, the volcano is in the book, but the Feond is not. He's from my brain.
It's my volcano now.
Yeah. Vera's volcano is in the book. It's not Vera's volcano in the book, but it is now in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this setting because though, as I am prone to do, I took it into a high fantasy way.
Well,
but like,
yeah,
I do like the low fantasy aspect.
And same, right? And that's something I really struggled with, right? Like I think if I were to do it again, I would try to keep it lower fantasy. But I talked about this with Missy before, kind of a little bit. I think I am very much I am a high fantasy DM, right? So it is very hard for me to keep it low fantasy, literally ever. And it was kind of fun in that sense, right? Like, obviously, I like towards the end, like the further we got, the more fantasy got introduced, like fantasy elements.
Yeah.
I like to still think I keep it relatively tame, except for maybe but
and that's pretty normal with like most stories and campaigns. Like the farther along you get, there's that like power creep.
Yeah. And it's funny too because like in two senses, this is outside my comfort zone, I guess. Because I've never done low fantasy and I've never been big on low fantasy. And I also really, it's funny to say this now, like looking back on the campaign, I really hate campaigns that like follow an NPC for the entire campaign. But that's just what happened, right? Like,
we really latched on.
And I think that's another thing that's like added to the outcome of this whole story too. Is like we're not the main character. I mean, Eoghan is the closest thing we have to a main character, but I would even argue that he isn't either.
Yeah, and that's what that is kind of the vibe I wanted to get across. Like, and I wish if we were in like the hyperbolic time chamber, right, and I had forever to do this game, it would be a lot of it would just be like you guys like occasionally bumping into like things from what you want to do or whatever, but a large part of it would be like other people's stories, right? Kind of like the NPCs in Dark Souls, right? Like you have a mission and you're gonna accomplish that probably eventually unless you die. But along the way you do meet other people, you see their stories and they usually end in tragedy, right? Like that's what I would want for this too.
Yeah.
I basically didn't have enough time to do both, and I guess I just went with the NPC route. But
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and this is definitely not a game that you could even do a one shot with. Like,
no,
like I mean, I guess technically you could, but I think it would
Yeah,
just
it'd be
pull
really
away
hard.
from a lot of.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think
like a really long one shot.
I think I would want probably like, and the book is kind of written this way, but I think what I would want is like, I would either want a really long campaign or like a collection of one shots,
Yeah.
right? Like because the book is told through like a series of notes on different areas and different things. That's what I would want, I guess, ultimately, like, is like a series of like stories or shitty situations in different areas that end up getting told by someone who was either there for most of them or all of them. Or like someone like Ignis, right, who has been around for a while. He could probably write a pretty like lengthy like short story book
journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we stole.
But yeah, so campaign like DMing this was kind of hard because I was like, what am I doing, man?
Yeah.
But every time
we didn't. I think the low fantasy part would have felt a lot more if we extended the part after the year time skip. Because like I was looking at my my Rindoth rating, right? So it was like, hey, cool beans, you can store 76 points of Rindoth energy in you that you use for your spellcasting stuff.
Yeah.
Cool beans. It really sucks though when you only regain like 1 or 2 points every night, and then if you want to regain any more, you have to meditate for a max of 5 hours for 5 extra points. It would take me.
That's
weeks
really slow.
to
Yeah.
get back. It's not like I'm gonna have a 5-minute nap. I'm gonna have full.
and that's why you don't
health
have like
everything.
these mages fucking going crazy every day, right? Like because you really can't afford to, right? Like you don't want to get caught on your ass, right? Because you used 76 points one day and now you're chilling at 2.
Just hold on a couple days.
Yeah, give me a month. Oh, fucking yeah. It was fun though. It was fun, the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, if we go through again, I would want to try out like the exaltation or this flux thing. I mean, have my own punchy gloves. Like,
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That was a whole.
I
That
was
was
really interested in that.
early on. That was like another like I wasn't sure if we were gonna go like the Phaon route, even though that's definitely where the story lent itself to.
Yeah.
Or that route, because that whole thing, like, I guess CODR, like most like equipment, like science equipment, isn't like that, right? Like it's not that potent. And so what they were doing is they were trying to discover like a new form of flux, and they discovered that if you mixed human blood with Phaon blood, you could get more potent. Like it was a whole thing, bro.
Ooh, man.
Like they were corrupt. Like when you went into the building,
Yeah.
like in the basement there were prisoners. Like there was like it was like this whole thing.
Oh,
yeah,
shit. Imagine if they
Dude.
got a hold of Eoghan, though. I mean, like 2 for 1.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I almost had them
Wow.
kidnap Rhea.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it was a whole thing. But I didn't want to
that's
like
crazy.
I want to play through that.
I didn't want
story too.
to. Maybe we'll do that as like a 1 or 2 shot
That
at
story
someday.
sounds equally depressing, if not more.
Yeah, but I didn't want to like. At some point, I was like, "Fuck, a lot has happened already. I don't want to squeeze in too many different things, right?" And that's
Yeah, I
that's
get
the
that.
yeah. So I decided to just leave it out in the end. But no, yeah, that was gonna be really fun. I think because it was like I had this other idea too of like all these like parents or like relatives that are like
My kids.
I haven't heard from my kids in a while because it was like
Because
like
they're constantly getting kidnapped, probably
Yeah.
from the lower districts.
So
'cause
they're-
they're all
well-
nice.
well, there are
sitting
people that-
high and mighty up in the upper.
well, there are people
Yep.
who go to study like magic science, right? So
Yeah.
my idea was like the guys who show promise get to go on in their studies, and the ones that don't get used, right? Like get fucking
Yeah.
blooded in.
Get to go on and be used. in
Yeah,
studies.
to further like and like that's why I think when,
donated to science.
I think when you saw the thing, it said
Oh yeah, he
There was a-
couldn't read.
yeah, there was a quote on top of the building. I think it said for the future of mankind, and that was
Yeah.
going to be a dark quote, right? Because they would become fuel for the future of mankind, right? Is the whole thing.
Ew.
So Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
one day we'll do something with that.
Dude,
but
if
that
it
is
wasn't
wild.
that expensive, Otis would be in a prison right now. Just
Yeah, you would not have been good at.
Yeah, I was. There was a while where I was
sorry,
like, "Oh
but-
my god, why Otis?" Bro, like
Right?
everyone to be here. But
Yeah, I really like this setting, by the way.
Mhm.
Like, each of these places felt like part of the world, but also very distinct, right? Like the Gorm, where I went, felt different than the
Yeah.
Three Sisters Island that Rebecca went to, and Ostabale was its own city. Like, I really like this setting just in general.
yeah, I
We
think it's a really cool
explored-
setting.
we explored what, like
Such
2
a
or 3%
small
of it.
Yeah.
There's a shitload
Yeah.
here.
Like truly such a small amount. And we've put the map up on Instagram.
A whole bunch, yeah.
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 Yeah, but I also like that we were like we could travel and then come back to a home base, and then
Yes.
like travel and come back to a home base.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot. It felt different though than other games, and I'm not quite sure how to explain it. But like, you know how some games it's like all you do is adventure,
Yeah, you don't
And you're
really
like-
settle
You
down.
never
Yeah.
go back.
you never go
Like
back.
you never turn around,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
And that
The
can
road is
kind of
not
be
home.
exhausting in its own way. But also, there's times where it's like you only stay in one place forever,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't feel awesome either. Because it's like, what if we're missing something and it's just on the like in the other city or something like that, right? But like, this I felt like was like a good mix of having kind of that home base, but being able to go and explore and learn more about different parts of the continent, the thing that we're on. So I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like the inspiration for like the weird eldritch stuff going on, and I saw that there's a whole section here on the character sheet for artifacts, and like that would be an interesting thing to explore, like just being a treasure hunter going through, I don't know, ancient crypts, trying to go to Three Sisters, ending up fucking senses all fucked up.
Yeah.
I think something to like remember though is that like that is like the best ending someone who's gone to the Three Sisters has had in a minute, right? Like most other people die or go missing, right? Like so it's not all bad, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Should we talk about like the mechanics?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I guess we can talk about combat first.
Sure.
Okay.
I really like combat.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start right out the gate. Like
Yes.
I love the fighting attitudes at the top of each round. I think that makes a lot of sense. I also appreciate that like your speed is accounted for in that. But like you can move up or down in quote unquote initiative order because of the fighting stances that you choose or the fighting attitude. I think it makes a lot of sense because that's how real life works, right?
Yeah.
Like if you choose to be a little bit more offensive, you get your body ready to be more offensive. If your sole goal is to sprint,
You're out of
then
there,
like
right?
you're gonna freaking sprint. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me in other games where it's like your initiative order, like you're always gonna be last no matter what. When like it's just because you put your stats into like
It's because you dump ducks.
yeah exactly.
No,
Yeah.
I agree completely. I think like usually in a lot of games there's like one thing that I'm like, why isn't this everywhere? That's how I feel about the fighting attitudes in this game. Like
Yeah,
it does
same.
just
It's
make
really
sense.
cool. And then you don't have to like take feats to like do certain things to up your initiative or to be able to like move.
I also like it. I also like that it is in reverse order, right? The slowest guy reveals it first. Like
Yes.
I think that also makes
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of sense. right?
really cool system.
Yeah.
Because
And it's not clunky.
Yes.
it's not clunky at all, right? It's pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, I think it reads a little clunky. Like you're like, this is gonna be weird, but then once you get into the flow of it, you're like, oh no, this makes sense.
Yeah, because I feel like initiative is too restrictive, but then in like Star Wars, where there's no initiative essentially.
Yeah,
and
one of the teammates go. Yeah.
anyone in the team can go. Kind of takes away from that structure and then slows the game down on that side. I feel like this is just that perfect intersection of those two ideas.
Yeah.
I like it too for balancing spellcasters, because it's like for every circle you're one slower, right?
Yep.
I love that.
Oh,
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
So like in that fight with the bird, I was, my speed is 9, but I was going even after you were, and you have a speed of 6 because I was casting.
he lost
a spell.
4
Oh,
speed.
okay.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since I wasn't casting, I didn't understand why you were going so much
And
behind me.
that makes it really risky.
That's
because
really
Lotus,
cool.
like
and it makes
as
sense because you're taking time.
yeah.
You're concentrating.
And if Lotus was on a one-on-one with any like physical fighter, really, like that makes sense, because it's like, or that makes it risky to you can't just cast willy-nilly, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's not one of those like, well, I'm ahead in initiative, so I can go ahead and cast.
Yeah, and it
color
makes it-
spray, and you're gonna be screwed.
yeah.
It's-
I think if you take like a big enough shock, you could like lose your turn if you're trying to cast. So like, I love because like I think it's hard to balance spellcasters in most games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, because there
100%.
comes a point where they are just so much better than any melee based damage dealer.
Yeah, like by definition, they're breaking the laws of physics.
Yes, right. And it's like a swordsman can only do so much.
Yes.
But like in a setting like this, it could be very easy to become a magic hunter. You just have to be faster than them, or like a mage hunter, right? You just have to be faster than them.
Yeah.
And especially like in a game like this where healing isn't abundant, right? Like all it takes is finding him on the wrong day, or like really fucking him up on your first attack, and then you
Yes.
probably win the fight after that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Which leads me into HP.
Mhm.
I do like how the HP in this system works. So you have different health conditions, right? It's good, okay, bad, critical, and agony.
Mhm.
And the lower you are on those, you get a penalty to your rolls. So when you're go from good to okay, you're at a -1, to bad -2, critical -3. And like if you take more than 5 damage, you go down to okay. If you take more than 10 damage, you go down to bad. If you take more than 14 damage, you're down to critical. And if you take 18 damage, you're down to agony. And if you take a
Take any
damage, then
more.
you're dead.
Yeah.
Every single PC has that. You don't have a barbarian who's
Yep.
got like 300 health because he's raging right now, and you have to chew through that. It's like if you get hit, getting hit hurts because that's
because you're flesh and bone, just like the next guy, right? Like
Yeah.
I do
So-
like that too.
The only health system I like better than this one was the Fallout one, because I really like having like each limb be its own separate thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do like that everyone has the same set amount, but at the same time, like Ragnvald is a very scrawny person. I feel like I probably should have had less hit points than Vera, who's
Yes.
killed more than
Fucking
11
dope.
people.
But
more than 11 people and a huge
And a
Feyenoord
bird, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that is the part that I was going to get into. Is like,
Okay.
I think that having like a little bit of leeway is probably fine. So if we
Yeah.
calculate it out, right, there's 19 hit points here.
Mhm.
If you plus or minus 5 to that for
Yes.
your character,
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
But can you edit your defense rating as
Yeah.
well? I would
you
say
can
that.
add
can.
Points into my defense
yes,
rating.
but the way that I equate that, I guess, is like hit points, which
Right.
isn't necessarily what
Toughness
AC armor class
Yeah.
is what I see. as
equates to defense. That's
Yeah,
fair.
because it's like it's more based off of like what armor are you wearing than it is like how healthy.
Yeah,
You
there's
are.
no
Yeah.
real constitution bonus here.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
no, the defense is a different thing.
Yeah, you can train
Because
defense in
armor
particular,
is for
right?
protection,
Yeah.
not for defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
defense
yeah.
is kind of
And
like
I
upping your
think
constitution.
yeah. I think it's like it definitely is like you feel one way about it or you don't. But
Yeah.
I think to me it makes sense because it's like it doesn't matter how much you lift, the human body can only take so much, right? Like me,
Yeah.
You can
I'm
still get
I'm
stabbed.
jacked. Like if I get shot, I'm still gonna die. Right? It
Yes,
doesn't matter
yeah.
if I bench 100 pounds or 300 pounds. I can't deflect a bullet with my pecs. I just can't, as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with a sword, I imagine. But that's why I think mechanically the difference could be right. Like someone might want to focus on upping the defense a little more, so they do feel the difference, right? 'Cause-
Yeah, I guess I
Like,
wasn't
that's
really
exactly
considering
what I
that.
did.
That defense could be just like your actual hardiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Tenacity
then,
or
like,
whatever.
health condition is just
Your physical body.
physical body.
Yeah.
Okay.
damage. What I do like, and I do think should be included in any, like in D&D or Pathfinder, is when you are hurt, you are worse at things.
Yes.
I 100% agree
I
with
think
you.
it's so good.
I'm at 2 HP, but boy, I do be casting. Like, it doesn't. Right.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Like-
can you even talk? You're
Right.
coughing up blood.
You're literally
dude.
choking
I am
on your blood,
at
my king.
death's door.
Yeah. But I
Like,
just
it's fine,
but I
I'm
just
gonna
crit
do
on this
30
attack. It's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
Right, but if I run into a spiky bush, I'm going unconscious. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, not
Right,
that I
yeah.
complain when we play Pathfinder and we
Yeah.
don't do that, but like,
It's a very different
it's more
feel.
realistic.
That's what
There's
I like about
realism in
too.
this. You don't heal everything.
I'm a big
Overnight.
fan of the slow healing.
Yeah,
I didn't,
me
too.
I didn't lean on it too much in this campaign because our combats were pretty far apart.
Yes.
But it's like you can in other
Yeah.
systems just go fight day after day after day, right? Like you can't do that.
Mhm.
You can heal, I think, at max 3 points in one day. One from having a doctor look at you, one from any magical sources if you have any, and one from not doing shit the entire day. Like you're on bed rest. Like,
Yeah, that is wild.
and that is if you want 3 points of healing in one day. Like
Yeah,
that's
a lot of
nuts,
hoops to
dude.
jump through.
Like
Yeah.
Lotus would be on like
Oh yeah, no. After this, Lotus is napping.
he's not doing anything
Yeah.
for like at least like
Several days.
Yeah, because
A week.
we
Probably a
essentially
couple
have
weeks.
20 like hit points,
Mhm.
right? So 3 a day, 20, let's see, 18. That's what, like 6 days?
yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
max. Like most people don't
Yeah,
have
max.
access to like magical forms of healing, so most people are getting at most 2 a day,
Yep.
1 a day if you don't have access to a doctor, right?
Right.
Like
And yeah, that's almost a month.
yeah,
And
dude.
that's fair, right?
That's
like
what it
if
would
you
if
break
you
an
get
arm,
fucked
you're out
up.
for a month.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like you can't afford a doctor, you don't have your magic, lay on hands. Like
And
Yeah.
I like that it lends itself more to like role playing.
Yeah,
Like
well,
if you want to role play and you're not just like, wow, what if we did like combat simulator? Because
Yes.
Bunkers and Badasses was kind of more like combat simulator, and I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I was like, what if I just made a combat scenario because I didn't plan well?
Yeah, well,
And like, but you can't do that with this game.
no,
So
definitely
like, I
not.
was telling Damien that like I don't know how you like.
dude, I
Kudos to you.
I'd be winging it, bro.
Because-
Like, I'd be on the drive, and I'm sure it's apparent. But I'd be on the drive here, and I'm like, let's find out what we're doing today. Like, we'll find out together.
You didn't have that option to just be like, whoa, there's a few skeletons. Oh no. Like
Um,
on the road, because it's like, bro, we're trying to not die.
I do like it
Please
too
don't.
because then and like something else I wish I did more. It's like then you can make combat threatening, right? Because then it's like, sure, you could probably take these guys, but if 2 or 3 people are at half health, like you probably don't want to get in that fight
I
anymore.
thought Otis was
Yeah.
gonna die.
I thought
Yeah, I
Otis
thought
was
so
gonna
too.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
He
was
still
like-
might.
Yeah, I mean, could get infections
Right.
or something.
That is a thing, dude.
It
And,
is.
and dude, like they have a really good like sick, like I think we didn't like a poison / you got sick system.
Cool.
In this game, they do a really good job. They have a really good like addicted to a substance system in this game, like whether that's tobacco or
Oh,
alcohol.
yeah.
Dude,
that
can
was
I
an
borrow
option.
that book?
Yeah, dude, I
Sweet.
highly recommend this system
That
to
is
people
so cool.
who one like is okay with maybe a less combat heavy campaign, and honestly, mostly that. Like I think everything else is fine. Like and obviously who's okay with a low fantasy setting, but
Yeah.
this is like one of my favorite. It might be my favorite setting.
Yeah, I
Um,
really enjoy it.
And one of my favorite systems because I do like the realism, right? Because now, like, even if you're like a pretty good fighter, like you don't want to get jumped by 4 dudes, right? Like
Yeah.
you're still, even if you win, you're gonna get fucked up, and then like the next guy who's gonna find you, like you're easy pickings for them, right? Like,
Yeah. That does bring me into a criticism that I do have.
Mhm.
I feel like if there were a couple extra wrinkles in the combat, then like in that last fight that we had, the weird oil birds,
Yeah.
like the lower tier oil birds from Tutorial Forest, those ones just couldn't touch us. So I think
yeah.
if they had like, I know that this is leaning on Pathfinder, but I mean, fuck it, it's a fantastic system.
It is.
Like a flanking kind of a bonus, or like a swarmed kind of a bonus, so that
yeah,
then they
okay.
had a chance to actually like hit.
Mm.
Because, not gonna lie, like the big bird came in, did 10 fucking damage to me. that sucks. But I could definitely see like the birds at that point just like swarming
Jumping you.
and
Taking
just
away from you.
picking away.
That's a terrifying image.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe not flanking, but I like the idea of like swarm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like +1 for everybody
Something.
nearby or
Right.
something.
I feel like that's a mechanic
Yeah,
I've
but
seen in a game
also
before.
it stands to reason that like they just can't fucking hit us in a way that like does anything. We not you, I guess, but like we've armored up.
Right. If the
We're, like-
protection was high enough that like they couldn't even touch you, sure. That's probably fine. But like I was sitting at protection rating 1.
Yeah, but you're fast.
Right? Yeah, but like defense
Fast
entails
enough to dodge like 3 birds at once.
fast enough to swat them away, so they don't actually do any real damage.
I guess.
Like
But no, I hear you. Like, and I was thinking that as like a DM, I was like, man, I wish like I tried, and then like I didn't want the battle to take too long, so I was torn because I was like, I really want to do something with these birds, like outside of combat, maybe, or outside of just like trying to hit. But then I was like, but that's like a whole nother thing I have to introduce, and I really didn't want to go that long. I would put that probably more on me than the system, I guess, because like. I guess like I would take responsibility on myself because it's like these are birds from literally like the first combat in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I shouldn't expect them to hit at this point, especially after I gave you all a fuck ton of XP over like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then so like it would have been sick and then like to just have them do something else.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of happened at the end with the whole eat to heal thing.
Which was fucking awesome, by
it's
the way.
disgusting, bro.
I mean,
So
yeah,
gross.
gross,
But
like,
yeah.
I love that idea because unique boss fights are just my favorite. Not going into a room or like having a boss come to you and just you versus the boss and that's kind of it.
Mhm.
But like how we had in bunkers, how we had here, where like the NPCs, like the other enemies, even though they might not be like directly doing much in combat,
Mm-hmm.
like they're still doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, and I kind of ate them in my own way.
Yeah, I think we've said this a bunch of times, but I think I would really like to see this as a long-term
Yeah.
campaign to be able to like play more with the sanity and like how that affects the characters and kind of see like how that evolves. I also think going back a little bit to the health system and how like you don't heal very well, I think it would be a really good way to like portray just like the human struggle that like if you're sick but you still have jobs to do, like you don't necessarily get that one
Yeah, that
health
one
per
from
day,
resting, right?
right?
Like,
Because
Yeah.
you got to keep doing whatever you're doing. And so I think in a long-term campaign, you would really get to see those unique aspects of
Yeah.
the low fantasy setting, which I think would be super duper cool because I liked seeing the little bits that we got to see in this one. So yeah, it's just some of this game I think
it
lends itself to such like a long
Yeah.
campaign that like where I think that is not necessarily a downfall, but definitely something to consider
Yeah.
when you go to play this
Yeah.
is that like this is going to be a long-term thing. It's not going to be like we keep comparing it to Pathfinder. It's not going to be like Pathfinder where you can do like a month-long module and call it a day. Pathfinder does have longer ones like Kingmaker, but a lot of what they have their basis in is like the shorter month or so-ish long if you're playing every week. Maybe it's like six-ish months if you're playing longer. But this one, I feel like you got to be in it for a while, like year max, like not max, year
Minimum.
plus. I mean, yeah.
I am gonna
Dibs on next.
disagree.
Oh,
I got
okay.
next.
Okay.
Oops.
This game is a lot like Pathfinder in the fact that it is, I'm going to say bloated, but I'm not going to say it like I don't mean it in a negative connotation.
Okay.
There are a
Thick.
lot of rules in here.
Yes.
Mhm.
A lot. Just like there are in Pathfinder, right? But if you are wanting to explore every single rule, you need a long-term campaign for it. If you're wanting to be able to play around with Rindoth, but also have a little bit of like this, clerical miracles thing that you're going to have to devote the time for it for the most part, right? Or if you want to do the artifacts, but also do some of the sanity kinds of stuff, you're just going to have to devote a lot of time to it because it is a bloated game.
Can I disagree with your disagree? So, I think Pathfinder, though, all of the definitions and like names of things are very user friendly, and I don't know if it's a like lost in translation type thing, but Shadows of Esteren is very hard to learn all the vocabulary in even the first like 3 or 4 sessions, which I feel like Pathfinder is better at. And so if we wanted to jump into a quick game with somebody, I would tell them to stick to D&D or Pathfinder. I wouldn't tell them to come to Shadows of Esteren because you have to define what Rindoth is, you have to define what Eoghan is, you have to define what Magiscience is, and like erudition and Demorthan mysteries. Like those are skills, which like maybe it's because we've been playing Pathfinder forever and D&D forever, but these are words that are like specific to this game that you're going to have to learn for this game only.
To agree to disagree to your disagree to my disagree.
Your okay, all right.
I thought Wesley had dibs.
They got it.
I'm sorry.
I'll go.
I mean, Pathfinder has those kinds of things too, right? Like if you wanted to have a dragon hide armor, do you know what that actually provides for your character?
No, but I can picture what Dragonhide armor is. Like I don't know the numbers associated
Right.
with it,
Like-
but like Demorthan mystery, I had no idea what that is coming into it.
Rindoth, like. is
I mean
you're
that's
explaining it?
fair, but I feel like those are quick to pick up, whereas like having to deal with a whole bunch of stats and everything for like the fact that dragon armor can provide you some kind of resistance to certain types of energy damage, that is a little bit more complicated
Okay.
than this is.
But
I
if
mean,
you're doing
to
a
your
one shot,
point-
you're not getting dragon skin armor.
Well, maybe you're not. I'm skinning that dragon.
Well, I mean, if you're doing a one shot at anything above first level, then you actually will be given a certain amount of money, and then you have to go through all of your armor and weapons and
But
wonder
you're
side
not
and
wah,
figure
wah,
that
wah,
out.
wah,
And there's all the
Pathfinder,
whole
if you're
feat
doing that.
aspect of everything.
Pathfinder isn't great for one shots either. I'll say it.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not.
I think D&D is better for
Oh,
one-shots.
absolutely.
Yeah,
If you're
I just refuse. But I do think that the words are a little bit confusing as far as like what Rindoth is, what the Demorthan mysteries are,
Flux.
what Flux is,
is a
Magians,
Flux?
Magiantus.
yeah, Magiantists, like
they're
that's
really big. Sorry.
But I think that once you pass that hurdle, that's the only hurdle.
Okay.
I'm gonna comment now.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I fair point to Damien, but I think that's literally any system, right? Like I think you can pick up any system and create a relatively short story because at the end of the day, all you need are NPCs and some kind of plot line.
Yeah.
Right. But I am inclined to agree with Misty, where if you want to experience the game in its fullness, you would need a long-standing campaign to get all those elements that are unique to this system, right? Because sure, we can be like, I guess in the sense that it's low fantasy, that itself is a unique thing that will be there even in short stories, right? But ultimately, you have faith, you have magic, into some sense, you have science, and those 3 things can be found in a fuck ton of other systems.
Yeah.
If you want all the things that are unique to this system, you'll still experience them in shorter campaigns, sure. But I think the book really does lend itself to like longer times where you can experience these things, kind of like what Misty was saying. The book kind of lends itself to this too. What?
Like sanity.
Like sanity, like the human struggle. Like that's what the book is about, and it's hard to really get that in like a month-long or a 2-month-long campaign, right? Assuming you're playing once a week. And granted, I think this has been really fun. I think you can have fun short campaigns in this.
Yeah, for sure.
I just think you would get the most value out of this setting and this system in a long campaign.
Like,
Yeah.
we played this for like 20 plus hours.
I don't know why I really thought you were gonna say minutes. I was like, Stevie, no, we didn't.
I mean, we did.
I guess we did technically, yeah, at least 20 minutes.
But, and like, there's still so much we didn't get to experience from it. We
Mhm.
didn't play much into the sanity.
I would say most of it. Like we
Yeah.
only touched on, if anything, like
We got
Science
like, the
and
tutorial of
miracles.
some stuff.
yeah.
Like
Basically.
Rebecca ends with a syndrome. Insanity. Like she is almost insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That makes me really sad.
And
But that's fair
but like
We didn't get to see
we didn't
that,
get to
really.
see that. Like how does that
Mm.
play out? And yes, part of that is like role playing, but like if I showed up after a 1.5 year long skip and I was just like wigging out, like then that's like weird for you guys too.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
like as like a long-term thing, like people tend to slip slowly into madness,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So like I think sanity is one of the bigger ones that like
Absolutely.
you'd have to almost, maybe this is controversial, but if you're going to play this game, you want it to be short term, I would almost say don't even touch sanity.
I would hard agree on that. I would say
Because-
if you
Yeah.
want a short campaign, I would rip it from your character sheet.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
almost just don't use this back page on the
Yes.
character.
and
sheet.
and don't get me
Wasting time.
unless I guess my counter would be unless your character starts pretty insane,
Yeah.
then I
Oh,
guess
that
you could
be
touch
pretty
it.
fun.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that would be really fun.
But if
as
you have
well.
this idea of having a character that slips into insanity,
Mhm.
like that's hard to do in a confined time.
Yeah, and
restriction.
I think that's what I wanted to do with Rebecca, not knowing
Mhm.
like how difficult that would be when like our day to day is like walking through the forest.
yeah,
you
and
know?
that's hard, like for me too, right? It's because like yeah, these things are cool, but it's like if I think it's hard too if like for example, let's say Rebecca's the only let's say Misty's the only one that wants her character to go nuts, right? Then I have to introduce just her to these situations that might affect her sanity
Mhm.
and find a way to mitigate that for the other players. I'm not saying that was the case this time, but if that were, I would need more time to do that, right? Because if I'm throwing everybody into these like mentally harmful situations, then everyone's gonna go nuts. People, I want that, blah 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 blah, right? Like it's really like
Yeah, and even with like the saving mechanic that you can do for
Mhm.
insanity, like you're gonna have to, you're gonna fail these at some point. And then
Yeah.
everyone's
yeah.
gonna
I
be-
just
Especially if you roll like I did this entire campaign.
You just did not. Those dice don't like you.
I know, but they're really cute.
They are really cute.
I
And they're
do.
very giant.
Yeah, they're gonna get retired though.
I would love to
They
return to
need
this
it.
as a player
No
too
offense.
one day. Like I love this system a lot. Like I know I've said that several
Yeah.
times, but I'm
It's
quite
really
a fan.
cool.
I have something that I really like, but also really don't like. And
Okay.
it's
Pop off.
very polarizing, and it is the exact same thing that I'm going to be talking about here. Domains and disciplines.
Okay,
I
Mhm.
fucking love domains and disciplines.
me too.
Okay.
However,
Comma.
so right, just as a reiteration, right? So let's take the Demorthan Mysteries thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I put points into Demorthan Mysteries, and then for the first 5 points, that's like the general knowledge of Demorthan Mysteries stuff.
Mhm.
But then any points spent after that, right, go down one specific discipline line, and each one of these different domains has, like 5 different disciplines that kind of go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that.
Okay.
But that would be 20, 40, 60, 80 different skills that you'd have
Wow.
to kind of keep track of.
Yeah, I
roughly
never
speaking.
I never counted all those up. That's wild.
Pathfinder has a lot of skills that's a pain in the ass to try and keep track of, and they have 30 something.
Yeah.
This is over doubling that, which makes it a little bit difficult. However, I love that shit. I
Yeah.
want to be a swordsman because I dedicated points into being a fucking swordsman
Yes.
and not wielding axes because I generally know how to use axes, but I'm not like god tier with axes.
Mhm.
Like being a fighter and just being able to pick up any weapon and just being
yeah,
perfectly
great at
good
it.
like
Mhm.
it's a little bit immersion breaking, right?
Because
Because I want to be fucking Zorro training 3 sword
don't
style.
we all, bro? Don't we all? Don't get me started. But that's why I like it, right? Like I think one, I'm a fan for character diversity, right? And I think
Yes.
this lends itself to that. And also, like, I don't think the intention is never to be good at all these things, right? And that's why, like, you have to bring it back to Pathfinder, right? You have the Dex, right? And when you level Dex, you're better at all the things related to Dex, right? A little bit, at least. It's similar to this up to a point, right? Like to take combat, right? If you're leveling up fucking, was it close combat? You're better at close combat up to a point, but like until you start like being very intentional with your training, that you can only get so good in just in broad strokes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you decide to focus up, you're like, okay, well, I guess I got to pick. I don't know, like I'll be really good at using axes, right? So I train with an axe in particular. And I still have general combat knowledge, but I fight with an axe, right? And I like that. It also like that because then it lends itself to if you ever want to like disarm someone, it has genuine benefit, right? Like if you what is it, 15 is a cap? If you train up to 15 with axes, and you someone goes got your axe and they throw it, like you're losing 10 points per swing on like potential attack to hit damage. Like that's a lot, dude. Like it makes it so you genuinely need your weapon. Like it is you are at a disadvantage. Whereas in like other systems,
you have that bond with the weapon.
Yeah, like that's my weapon, bro.
And realistically, not that I wield weapons very often or at all, but wielding an axe is going to be way different than wielding a sword. And you can have knowledge in both, but you're not necessarily. If you've been training your whole life with an axe and you pick up a sword, there's gonna be a moment of like
relearning, right? Yeah, that's why there's that mechanic. What is it, like sharpening D's? What is it called? Do you remember we talked about? There's a mechanic in the game where if you get like 15 in a discipline, and you start training another.
You have to, it's like a tribute of XP that you have to. A staying fit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you have to keep spending XP in that discipline to keep it up there. Otherwise, you will degrade back down to a point.
As one does,
right? Like it makes sense,
love that.
dude. And I love, all these things. I think it's very well written. Yeah, this book. I'm not trying to I'm not sponsored. I just think it's a really good book.
Yeah. I mean, despite any I'm trying to be middle ground here. I fucking love this system.
Yeah,
the system is fucking great.
It is a great system for a long-term campaign.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love how you threw that in there.
I'm gonna throw that on the end for a long-term campaign.
It seemed really confusing to me at first, but I think it was just because there was a lot of terms that were
there is a learning curve.
Yeah, it
and
reads
it's
very
3 pages for a character sheet, which is very different than
but
a lot of the other games.
They're
we play.
big spaces for you to write.
Yes, which I
appreciate.
Yeah, this is a great character sheet.
I like that it's like a little booklet. Like I know that's silly, but
no, it's
nice.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, look at how fancy I am.
Yeah,
little
and it's well
booklet.
organized. Like you said, there's a lot of good space to write in there. I like that the health conditions are bubbles instead of me like tallying and then doing math and erasing. Like
you still have to erase.
You still have to erase.
Erasing a bubble.
Yeah.
Like Damien just puts a line through it, and that's so.
That's smart. I would have been.
You don't have to write okay, I'm at 43 health now.
Yeah.
But I just really like the character sheets. And I know that's not like the most important thing.
No,
I think it is.
I think it is.
Because I've written on some bad character sheets. Like,
like when we're like, okay, we're doing stuff for defense or for whatever. It was just like, hello, this is where the defense goes. This is where Bendoth and exaltation and flux and sanity. Here's trauma. What's hardening? I don't know.
And I think if I got to do this again, I would probably because the continent is broken up into 3 major regions, right? Tricazel. I would probably have three acts, one in each region, and I think because I think each, and it was hard for me. I didn't we stuck around Ostabale mostly, but the regions have a lot of shit going on in their respective areas, right? There's a lot of story and political ambiance, right?
because you mentioned that there's one whole section here that's all Magians everything, and then another one is all God.
Yeah, one's super into science, one's super into faith. They don't really get along that well. And that with a grain of salt is from the book, right? Because I'm pretty sure that's how it is, but it's been a minute since I read that part. But there is a ongoing conflict between there are in terms of religion, there's like people who believe in this old religion and people who believe in kind of like a new coming one, and they fight all the time. But a lot of people that believe in like the old faith don't fuck with science at all. So like that's also a thing. Like the book's really good. Like, and there is a follow-up book to this. Was book 1. There is book 2 that like explains like Feonas and other things even more in depth, like Feonas and the history and such.
Cool.
Of Feonas and of just like the setting. There's a lot, dude. Like the book is really, really like it can be kind of like if you're a new DM, I wouldn't recommend it because it can be kind of a lot.
Yes.
But if you've DM'd for a while, or if you and the gang are just really into like really willing to take the time and just like learn a new system and a new setting, I think it's really good. There's a lot in there for you to like work with.
At the very least, you could always just pick up the books for like ideas for
absolutely
to incorporate in other games and everything.
Yeah.
Aren't there like pre-built modules for this?
There's one. Well, okay, I haven't kept up with it. So at the time of me buying the set, which was quite some time ago, they were coming out with campaign 1, Dearg, which is where the soundtrack is from. And they had like the first book published. I think they were trying to do it in 2 books.
Okay.
So it was like Dearg Part 1. I don't know if they've completed it by now. I would imagine they have. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they had like a pre-written campaign going on. And it looked really good. So
yeah, that might be something to like start with if you're wanting to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, the soundtrack, like I feel like more games should probably do this.
It's pretty fire.
Yeah, so throughout this entire campaign, we have used exclusively their soundtrack for our like background music and for our outro as well.
Yeah.
And like it's designed specifically for use with this game, which is really fucking cool. And at the very least, I think if games don't include their own soundtrack, because I understand that could be a little bit
it can be a lot if you don't have.
It can be a lot, yeah. But at least suggesting one would.
Producing music costs a lot of money and time. So I understand not like releasing your own album with all your modules, but yeah, just make suggestions. Like it'd be a great boost for like artists or
just
whatever.
Make a Spotify playlist, bro. Like,
yeah, it doesn't have to be anything formal. You can just find music that you feel fits the vibe.
Yeah, like I've seen some TTRPGs that have a whole page of like inspiration is from, Lord of the Rings and this and that and that and that, and that can give you a great idea of what sort of music to play in the background.
Yeah, because this book had an inspiration page with it too, didn't it? Like it was pulled from, like Lovecraftian stuff and
oh yeah,
yeah,
it totally did.
Yeah.
What else?
I just looked it up, and Dearg Season 2 is coming out this fall on Kickstarter.
Fall 2023, if y'all are listening in the future.
Weird. So if this is something you guys are interested in, they are going to be having a Kickstarter fall 2023 to like go and support. So
yeah, go check them out.
Yeah, hit them up.
Also, I'm really sorry for everything we've mispronounced.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah.
Like I know, like even this last episode, we're like bald rock, and I don't think that's how it's pronounced, but it might be.
It might be. I wouldn't
this is.
Bet on it, but yeah, and I wish I knew how to pronounce everything, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is originally a French game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, maybe if you know French, it'll be easier, but I don't know.
It's a French company that...
It's a French company. The names aren't French.
Yeah, but the names are...
Yeah, I think they were
very
more
fancy.
like Norse or...
Not Norse.
Celtic.
It's Celtic, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's the vibes that I've been getting.
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Celtic.
I'm not
going to check.
Languages. I literally know one. It's English, and I barely know that. I'm not a linguist.
All that to say, I don't speak the words on the map.
Yeah, exactly. None of us speak the words on the map.
I'd like to beg to differ. I can read Furious Ocean just fine. So
yeah, I can read the Grey Bog.
Calvary.
Emerald Crescent.
But anything that's not that,
bro,
good luck.
Do you know Tutorial Forest goes like way up north?
No, it is big.
Yeah, it's
It's
wild.
big honkin'.
That's why it's called more forest there. Hey.
Goodness gracious.
I'm concerned because there's like the Sunken Forest, literal naming. Gray Bogs, literal naming. What the fuck is going on in the Sighing Forest or the Forest of Whispers?
Lots of whispering.
That sounds horrifying, and I'm glad we didn't go there. And it's like, I'm worried about those people. Or the Mist Bridge. I guess this is probably foggy there.
Yeah,
There's a lot of named locations on
Broken
the map,
stones.
and we know in the book that they have info on each of these named locations
Yeah.
for some new, unique kind of adventure.
It's so
and
cool.
that's-
Like there's so much. There's really a lot to this. Like if
Yeah.
you want to, like if your goal is to explore the whole fucking continent, like it takes a minute, man.
There's a
Like,
place called Region of Abundance. Why didn't we go there? Or the Slope of the Fallen.
There's a circus up north.
There is?
Cirque of Arghanscan.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like Cirque du Soleil.
I had the same
Yeah.
thought.
It's right next
Yeah.
to Farl.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. The
There's so
setting
much.
is amazing.
The setting's really, really cool.
Like the
There's so
setting
much
by
that's been
itself
put
is
into
worth
it.
like
You can tell,
learning
like you can tell the
rules and
makers
checking it out.
love this setting. Like
Yeah.
they put their hearts into it.
They really do.
And I appreciate that a lot. Like it's very clear that they give a shit.
I
Perhaps
can
you
pronounce Candlewood.
can do it.
Candlewood.
Oh my god.
should we
Um,
do like closing comments, or did we want to do like, after credit scenes?
Yeah, if anyone has any. I don't have any. I mean I kind of stole Rebecca to do mine in the last episode.
I'm excited to talk about Rebecca's.
So
Okay.
yeah,
You guys mind if I go first?
do-
Go
yeah,
for it.
Do we have anything like mechanics to talk about before we do? Because
Wait,
I
are we
don't.
talking about, is this the post?
This is for characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like during the time skip?
No, this is like. I mean, I guess if you want to touch on what you get it during the time skip.
You know, if there's any listeners that are upset that we can have a time skip.
Might have got a
'Cause we-
comment
Yeah,
or two.
you
We've
know.
heard that some people are upset that they didn't get to see what or I guess hear what happened. Okay, I don't want to go first then. If we're gonna
You
talk
can go
about
first when we talk about
year and a half.
post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
You
Just
got
really
this.
quick, this game is great. Use it for a long campaign, or at least have like a 5-session kind of a thing. I don't think that. I mean, one shot would work, but you know,
Yeah.
the optimal would be like 5+.
I would say
sessions.
like, yeah, if you could play this
but
for
if-
like 50 sessions,
If you
That's-
could play
that's
this for the
about
rest
it.
of your life, that is ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would work well.
As far as thing to steal from this one, fighting attitudes.
Fighting attitude.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Fighting
100%.
attitudes are really cool.
And maybe
Stressful, but
maybe the concept of
time.
discipline.
Maybe the concept of discipline. I would also play around with the idea of the slow healing because I'm big on that. That's
Oh, yeah,
that's
love
subjective.
slow
That's
healing.
personal.
Yeah.
I hate slow healing,
I-
but it makes sense in games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Obviously-
don't know if like this system is really good because I do like that health conditions makes you worse at stuff. But I don't know if this is the optimal way. But it is one of the better ones that I've seen thus far.
I agree.
And obviously, not all these things we're suggesting go with every system, but they're just good things to keep in your toolbox in case you want to introduce.
Yeah.
Don't just show up to your game that you've been running and be like, okay, you're only going to heal 3 hit points a day. Because there's a very finite amount of health you get here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so in other games, you're not just like, well, I know you have a max of 80 hit points.
See you next year.
All right. Any last thoughts? No offense to any. Never mind.
Yeah, every time you say thoughts, I think
What'd you call me?
thoughts.
Yeah.
I just think thoughts
Yeah.
and prayers.
I mean, beyond that, thinking of like I do like the Rindoth and how it slowly comes back. Same with like slow healing, but just to like rein in casters a little bit.
I think. Sorry. Finish your thought.
Like what you could do is like you can get half spell slots back per rest, rather than like full spell slots. That
Okay.
way, it kind of like breaks it up a little bit, and then casters can't just cast Wish after an 8-hour nap every single time. Something like that.
Yeah. I will say
that's an
We've
idea.
earned
in
it
other
at that
games,
point, though.
in other games, people ignore materials. And I think that's another reason why casters go crazy, right? Because
Yeah.
like you can't like Bro, I know you don't got diamonds like that. Why are you casting Resurrection?
Listen,
What do you really have?
Come at me. I would go nuts if we had to. Like,
I want to clarify this really quick. Most spellcasters in D&D and Pathfinder have a components bag that has general, normal, Eye of Newt type components. The bigger spells have unique components that every spellcaster, not every spellcaster would have just on hand, like a diamond for Resurrection, like some dumb shit for Wish, like, I don't know, the Burning Heart of the Everflame for some other dumb spell. Like, those are the ones that I think should have those limits. Because you're nuts, bro, if you're just casting Wish every day. Like, there's no way.
No, I agree, for sure.
But all that to say, I like the mage wrangling in this game. Like,
Me too.
I love that you're limited by what rocks you have. You're limited by the Rendoth you have. You're limited by not getting folded by the guy you're fighting if you try to cast a spell that makes you too slow. Like, I love that, bro. Like,
I cast 2 spells at circle level 4, I think. I'm going to have to like either sleep for a month or be meditating for 5 hours a day every single day for like the next
week and a half.
5 or 6 days.
I mean, that's
in order to
doable.
like get
what
it back.
What else are you gonna do out here?
Yeah, but it's
in my specific circumstance, it's doable.
It's also for a chance to regain it. You don't get it guaranteed for every hour of meditation.
Oh, cool.
It's a roll.
Yeah, it is a roll.
Underneath the Morthan Mysteries, there's another discipline called meditation, and it's a meditation roll.
I like
in
that.
order to get it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I was actually thinking about this. Sorry, I know we were like, we're wrapped up. We're not. Sit down. So one of the things that I was thinking about with the fighting stances and being like a spellcaster in other games, I really appreciate this because the fighting attitudes, I keep calling them stances, but you guys know what I mean.
Stances in my heart.
Because one of the biggest problems, and I'm sure all of you guys can vouch for me when I say this, like I get analysis paralysis looking at my spells. And I'm like, I will have been looking for like the entire round and it gets back to me and I'm like, oh no, what am I going to cast? And I sit there for another like 10, 15 minutes sometimes. Like it's outrageous because I'm like, oh crap, what do I do?
You just have so many options.
The fighting attitudes would really help that, I think, because it's like you are forced to not only have like your initiative set or whatever, but that means that when you choose your initiative, you need to know what spell you're going to be casting, because then that drops down depending on how much energy it uses or whatever. Like that drops your speed down. And I was sat there and I was like, this is awesome. I need this as a player so that I don't sit and waste everybody's time trying to figure out what spell is going to work best and like maximize it that way. It makes it would make in other games, it would make you just choose and deal with the consequences. You know, you already prepared your spells if you're that type of spellcaster. So like, fuck it, we ball type attitude, you know, and I like that.
I like that it also forces you, like, do I want to get the most value out of the spell or do I just want to get it out there, right? Because I could cast it at the first circle just to get it out there, but if I want it to be, like, more impactful, then I'm going to have to wait a bit, right? And I like that.
I also like the circle system for your spells. Like, holy shit, does it just make a whole lot of sense. So if I had, like, an enhance kind of a thing, all that I do is I look at the table, figure out what level of spell I want to do, and then just zoom across. Okay, how many targets can I get for this spell? Circle 4, I can get 4 targets. Great. All right, how long does it last? Okay, it'll last this long. How much damage does it do? That's not really the spell that I'm using, so I just ignore that. Oh, there it is. Bonus and penalty. Okay, so these 4 targets for 1 hour are going to get a +3 bonus to whatever.
Okay, cool.
And that's it. Like, you just look at the table, pick the stuff that applies, and there you go.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Bees, do they even have knees?
They kind of do.
And it's the spellcasting table from Shadows of Esteren.
Yeah.
If you zoom in on any picture of a bee, you'll see it.
The time skip. Are we going to talk about that now? Or do we still want to geek out about this game? I think it's pretty clear we all have positive vibes on this game.
Yeah.
But anything in particular before
One day we'll get a game we hate.
One day,
I
bro.
don't know.
Well, I don't know. I feel like we warm up to pretty much every game system.
I don't know. For Damien, it was potato.
It could like, yeah, Damien
Yeah.
hates potato. You
I
guys
don't
Coming,
know, man. It's
coming
just-
soon.
Yeah, soon, TM. We're
Soon to a one shot near you.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know.
I thought it was great.
It's our emergency potato.
I'm just kidding. I didn't play.
Oh yeah, it might not be out for a while.
Watch it not drop for like.
A year.
Yeah. 2024.
Everyone's waiting for the
Emergency
potato.
And it's just
Why does Damien hate it so much?
wildly underwhelming. It's like so much hype. And it's just a game about potatoes, man. I don't know what to tell you. Other than that.
All right,
Who wants to start?
a negative thing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Oh.
I just feel like continuing to talk about this.
Let's all
Sorry.
get pop off, King. Yeah,
Okay.
hours.
I do feel like
You have a whole podcast.
we haven't seen like the expansion books or anything like that, but I do feel like some things kind of have to get added by the GM and maybe by the player as well for this.
Like what?
Okay, like
Like-
what?
That interesting stone or the blue.
The mayonnaise?
No, I mean the mayonnaise too. Yeah, that was definitely
blue
a
steel?
positive addition. But the blue steel stuff, because like looking through the
Well-
equipment list, it is simple.
I think that. Okay, but I think that's what they're going for, though.
Yeah.
To be
Because
fair.
you
That's
get better-
fair,
If
right?
you do more damage, the more you like do well in close combat or shooting or whatever.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I guess
I
it's
like
another
that it's
aspect
simple. Mhm.
of like low fantasy,
Yes.
but
Mm-hmm.
your level up is great. Now I do 1 point better at this specific thing.
Right.
So if you're looking for like the grand, like, oh my god, I just leveled up to level 2 and now I get access to this, and this.
Yeah, this is not that
This is
game.
not the game for
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
If you want the slow grind of like slowly trying to get better, where honestly at some
guess we
point
did have a
you
skip.
yourself as a person could probably train in the skill at the same speed as your character.
Yeah.
Literally, yes. And that's good to bring attention to because we did have a time skip because I wanted the characters to get better at a faster rate than I had episodes 4. But and I am not opposed to this, but this is very much a slow burn, right? Like
It is.
unless you're into that, in which case, like you could also, to be fair, start off with a certain amount of XP. But yes, the XP gain, like every like proverbial level up, is not going to be like now I have access to 4th circle spells. It's going to be like if you're like a melee dude, like the individual's levels aren't going to be that grand, right? It's going to be every like few points in a skill where you're like, yeah, hey, look at me growing in my skill.
Now I
But,
can have a discipline.
Yeah, now I have a discipline or whatever.
Hey, now I learned how to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know how to read.
I can
For
swim
Otis.
faster. But yeah, this is kind of like we've been saying. This is a slow burn. Like, do not do it if you want to like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just wanted to bring attention to that real quick. But
Cool.
cool. Who wants to go first with the time skip stuff? I know it's all vague, and I'm sorry for that. I'll try to help you in any way I can. I will not be able to though.
Misty does.
I don't want to go first with the time skip
Misty
stuff.
doesn't want
I want to
to.
go first for
I
like the like what's next for my character stuff, but that's not right now.
Mine was simple. I just made weapons in a volcanic forge the whole
Which-
time.
Super cool.
That is
And,
pretty
like,
sick.
Hold on. I'm trying to get to my messages on Discord.
You had like
Which chord?
I don't know how to use Discord. So send
Me
cursed
either.
links or fat cats.
Crystal links.
Well, there
Dude,
was
I-
that one that someone made where there's a hand slapping a butt, and the butt was. It's not a real butt. I don't know. Let's cut this out, editor.
Editor, leave that in.
No, I probably will.
um,
Yeah, I
All right,
wasn't
well, I
ready.
mean-
Sorry.
time skip
I saw
stuff,
him.
right?
Mm.
Like for Otis, like when we last saw Otis, he kind of like took the plunge and let Luna take over. Luna and Soul, as in the sword wielded by Soul Alexander, they talked, then,
Mhm.
found out that they were bros, and Soul Alexander was kind of like, okay, well, if you're friends, then like fine, I have no quarrel with you anymore. Really ballsy move trying to step up against me. And then Otis, I think, probably took over a little bit after that. And pretty much was just like, I want what you got, bro. Because you have like a good partnership with your Feond sword.
Yeah.
I want that. And he was like, cool. I'm going to beat the shit out of you for like a year. And Otis was like, sweet. This is for training me, right? And Soul was like, whatever you say, bud. Yeah, anyways, just like through sparring and getting my shit rocked.
Cool.
Otis and Luna fused into one gestalt being. And then Luna's stone turned into that delusion stone. And that's pretty much it. Like, it's not grand.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty much what you expected.
Cool.
Nose goes.
You or you?
I'm talking about y'all. I'll have a nose if I want. I'm God.
Well,
You guys aren't. One of you do it.
I've got it.
No, I meant the nose thing. You guys are
I
both
already
chilling.
did.
No, I know you did.
I was like, I've been sitting.
What?
The Feonda that was training me for some reason died. I wasn't ever really given a reason.
He was just dying, bro. I guess he became the
He
force.
was old as hell. He like trained my dad or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably a bunch before that.
Yeah, I'm sure my dad wasn't the first.
the first and only, second.
Yeah, but I was just, I just kind of, I don't know what you said. Why
I don't know what I
laughing?
said.
That's why we're laughing, because what he said was like a
It didn't make any fucking sense. Because I was like, the first and only, I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Because you obviously were trained. So I was like, oh, the second. And then I was like, God damn it, bro.
Yeah, so I made weapons. I drank a lot of blue mayonnaise.
Ew. That's my fault. But like,
It
God.
is your fault. You did this to me.
It's so gross, bro.
Well, it's kind of like the same texture as like Greek yogurt.
No, don't you ever say that ever again. Absolutely not.
Or pudding.
I'm never gonna. There
Stop.
are only certain foods I can eat.
Oh,
Please.
sorry. It's
Stop.
nothing like pudding or Greek yogurt.
Thank you.
It's probably kind of like Greek
No.
yogurt.
Shut up.
Scott.
No one asked you. I love you. I'm sorry. That was mean. And then he just fucking died. I assume he said something meaningful like, you have the mountain now. Not like that. I don't know anything meaningful to say when you're dying and trying to pass on a volcano to the person who just made some sick ass weapon. And you're like, that's dope. I approve. I'm going to die now.
Probably
That's
that.
probably what he said.
Since
I think-
you didn't die, I will die and fuel the fires of this volcanic forge.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with him is like some people want to achieve immortality, right? And Feondas are no different. But even Feondas die, right? So how do you get that, right? Like for some people, it's do their work, and knowing now that there is someone alive who can pass down the craft, like he doesn't have a reason to fight anymore, or like to fight to stay alive type deal. So he can finally rest in peace.
Oh.
I'm just a really good blacksmith that I helped him pass over.
Damn, that sword's crazy. I see ya.
His face doesn't make sense. What? Doesn't actually say like, oh, the mountain's yours, volcano's yours. I'm just like, okay, sick. I own this volcano now. And so I've just been going around telling everyone like, that's my volcano. That whole island. Is it a whole island?
Yeah.
The
There's
whole
not.
island. I got a private island. Sure, it's mostly volcano and pretty inhabitable. But I got by for a year.
It's still seafront property.
Yeah. It's got good bones.
Stop. I hate that phrase so much. It's so dumb.
Yeah. That was pretty much what I did during the time skip.
Cool. So during my time skip, right, went up to Gorm and the city was burning down and they were healing everybody, right? And I started to get in with the monks who were healing people and became kind of their friends for the long term to learn the healing arts. And was talking with Sister Layla and she was like, hey, like, I am dying
Oh, we all cling.
essentially, we haven't found a cure for this, and she had these blue and purple spots on her abdomen and like going up her body. And we were like trying to heal it. This didn't happen on camera. And some of her sickness jumped onto my body and like started to go up my arm. And it didn't happen in the game, but I had some permanent health damage because of that. And so if I started taking wounds, I would have jumped down to okay and bad a lot faster than most of y'all. And because of that, like I got some Rindoth training, but I was still not like very comfortable with it. And so I dived really deep into the traditional medicine and how to fix people without magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what happened during my time skip.
And
You
you
wanna
guys still haven't found a cure?
No, we still don't have a cure. She was dying.
I do want to clarify something really quick that did come up like on that episode,
Yeah.
which is Lamal God is a sham, right? That whole bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
It's neat, but that's not the case, right? Like there is like exaltation and miracles are a thing.
Yes.
This church in particular, like they are the
They-
sham, right?
yeah.
Like not the idea of God himself,
Yes.
but they are in the business of not God.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was the biggest
really
plot
liked
twist.
it.
I was like, oh my gosh, no. Lost it.
Yeah. They're in it for the cult things.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So when Rebecca gets over to the islands and she blacks out, there's 3 separate islands that she ends up traveling to. There's one sister on each island. Sorry, I have hiccups.
Bless you. I could scare you. Ah.
I think they're gone.
You're welcome.
So, thank you. So, like Wesley said, other travelers had come to these islands before, and they either went crazy and never came back to the mainland, or they were killed. Either way, they did not end up living for very long. And there's one sister on each island. They're kind of like a little spook, right? They're not like a physical person.
Mm-hmm.
Each island had its own trial, dealing with the different senses. So obviously we have more than 3 senses, but
That's not true.
there's like the main eyesight, hearing, and speech that hear no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah.
That kind of concept, right? Where Rebecca had to rely on her other senses in order to pass through the trials. And they were just like, this thing's gonna come kill you, or you gotta run away really fast.
It's like when you're in the shower and you get soap stuck in your eye. And you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta fix this before I get got.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
right? And each of the sisters on the islands were the ones like,
The pursuers.
yes, the pursuers. And unfortunately I'll start with this. Fortunately for Rebecca, she had always had a stunt to her senses before. And so she already had kind of heightened senses from only being able to see out of one eye. So when she went blind, that one was probably the hardest for her on that first island. But unfortunately for her, when she would get to the edge of the other island and the first island, there was another boat waiting for her that took her to the second island. The second island, she swam to the third island. But when these things happened, she didn't get away from the sisters. The sisters just followed her. And they ended up possessing her. And she ended up with a condition called hated by the spirits.
Oh.
You can only use one sense at a time, and you have access to... sorry, that's a different sentence. You could only use one at a time, and then Razor was there to still continue to help me if needed. Like, he was my seeing eye bird through the whole game. With being possessed, though, she wasn't the vessel that the sisters wanted, which is why she's hated, and why she started to go extra crazy with her trauma. Because the issue was that the sisters knew that something big was starting to come about, and they wanted to be involved. The only way they could be involved, though, is that they had a vessel to transport them to the mainland. Rebecca is not the ideal vessel. She's not super strong. She doesn't have use of one of her eyes, whether she's using her eyes or not. She only has one. And so they were really upset that this is like, they basically had to just give up on their perfect human that they would have eventually found, because time was against them. So inside of Rebecca, after the year and a half, were 4 different beings, Rebecca and each sister. And if Rebecca were to get too far down in health, or further into sanity, the sisters take over, and she no longer has use of her body. Which leads me into her, like, what's next for Rebecca? So Rebecca was going to go into the forest and just give up. She wasn't going to kill herself, but she was going to let the sisters take over, because she was just like, this sucks too bad. Like, this is too painful. I hate this. I can't do anything on my own. And like, if you want my body, just freaking have it already. Like, I'm done. But then she had that dream, and now feels responsible to make sure that everybody knows that he's on his way back. And she doesn't know what that means, but the sisters are excited, and that scares her. And so she's going to find her way back to Ostabale and talk with Eoghan and see like what his plan is, and see if she can stick with him until she gets more answers. So
okay. I was gonna ask, I guess I was gonna introduce the idea. Do you think, because I imagine she's like at the end of her rope that night of the dream, do you think she would do that, or do you think she would just send Razor back? And also Razor in general, like, what's up? Was she just gonna give up with Razor there and have him like confused?
I don't think she would have thought that through. Like, ideally, right, she would send him away.
Yeah, but when you're going through it,
but,
like she's going through it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that she would have thought it through.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine, right, like, you've probably been thinking about doing that for a while now. We had a whole year.
But I promised I would meet you guys up in a year and a half, and that's what kept me
sense
going.
of duty.
One obligation, and you fulfilled it.
Yeah, exactly. So when it kind of turned into like a dead end, kind of, it was like, okay, like.
I like that, sad as it is, because it's like, I guess it does feel realistic, right? Like, I can't imagine, like, because it's one thing to have like the physical battle with your senses, but like, I think, and this is something that, again, like, we didn't really have the time to like bring to light, but like, dude, like, on the day-to-day, she's like verbally berated in her mind by the spirits, right? Like, they do not like her. And that like really breaks a person down, I imagine, over time. So
yeah, and I think ultimately, like, their goal was
that
they would take over my body, right? but because I still had something
to do.
Yeah, like that they couldn't fully do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it hasn't been a pleasant place to be.
That's
in that brain of hers.
Really cool in the sense that like I could like we're probably never gonna play this again on mic, but if I ever play this again in general, like I could use Rebecca as a character in the future.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I like. Let me know if you do, and I'm not at that table because I want to hear what happens.
Yeah.
But if we play again, I'm playing her.
Okay. Yeah. You get dibs at the table.
Until she ends up dying,
Yeah.
probably because she's crazy. So.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's crazy. Those goes.
So
unless you had more.
No, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ragnvald's post-credit scene, you see him, it's a month or two later, and he set up a little like science station inside of the tree, and he is like got something bubbling in a beaker, and he's like trying to figure out, first of all, if this lady is dead or alive. He's like testing different things and like knocking on the amber, and he scrapes off a little bit of that amber to go
science
study
with.
it. Yes, science it. Yeah, and he's mixing it with something that might be blood. You don't know, and it spills on his arm. He goes to clean it off, and it has cured a portion of his spot.
I like that.
And that is his end.
Ooh.
Whose blood?
It was his own.
Ew.
His own blood mixed with the amber.
Yeah. Because like mixing the two bloods like is doing things science.
It do be weird.
Yeah.
Bloody science.
Demorphin
Blind.
mysteries or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's my post-credit scene.
Cool. Those goes.
Mine's
No one does the thing. I say nose goes and no one.
I've already gone, so I don't.
I know,
exactly.
but-
I don't.
got to.
so mine's just kind of boring. Not Rebecca. Gosh dang it! You made this difficult.
It's hard. It was hard from the start.
And plus, we talked about Rebecca for a while.
Yeah.
So. Vera, I think she ends up going back to, like, she leaves word with Eoghan and like says like, "Hey, I'm probably gonna head back to like where I came from because I looked for adventure. I found it."
Not Calvary, right? Like you mean like your hometown type deal?
Yeah, which is in the south. That's all I know.
Oh.
It's in the south. Vera knows where it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at least to check in and see what's going on there. She's just, I don't know. All the killing kind of took a toll on her as it had before she even met these people, but like it was just rough. Like, cause she, like, how she treated the big bird? I don't know what to call it.
Big bird works. Yeah.
That's not what she used to be like. And she's like a kind and nurturing person by nature, but like over time that's changed. Like after her time on the volcano, not really around people. Yeah. And I know that like she recognizes that the big bird was doing what it needed in its mind to do or whatever, but she still sees it as like a living being. And she, like, her worldview on Feondas has changed quite a bit, especially having spent a year and a half, like a year with one. So she's just kind of going back and reflecting. She's probably going to spend some time at the volcano because, yeah, she just doesn't want to be in a city full of people.
That makes sense. I mean, I think, and like this doesn't happen all the time, especially because campaigns don't end all the time. But I think it makes sense for like a character to set out on an adventure and then afterwards want to go home, right? Like especially if the adventure wasn't the most positive experience. Like I would, right? If I had a crazy 2-ish years, like I'd want to come back here with my like the people that know and love me, right, to get me through whatever new trauma I've acquired on my trip, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she just wants a familiar place. She set out for literally for adventure to like because she was bored of her life at home, and like she didn't have a lot tying her down. But she was like, this also is not the life for me. So she's going back, gonna try and figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
those goes Damien.
Okay.
Bananas.
So I think I'm gonna play this out in scenes. So after you all leave, Ragnvold helps Lotus with the wounds, but it takes like a little over a week, maybe 2 weeks of just kind of like sitting around and like, you know, slowly getting better, and finally, like, you know, getting up, taking like a walk around this tree area, having to sit back down, but finally feeling strong enough to go out. Lotus just says, "Well, Ragnvold, I'll be right back. Maybe a few hours, day at most."
Okay.
Then we see him leave this underground area, walk down until he gets to More Forsair.
Okay.
Specifically, More Forsair, kind of close to Ostabale.
Okay.
More for sale is a tutorial forest for
Yeah.
clarity, just because I know I called it that a lot.
And then Lotus says, "Well, Rodney, I guess we have had our last adventure, huh? You know, you've always been real good to me, and I figure I'll set you back with all your friends, too."
Oh.
As he, like, digs a little bit of a hole and then puts down, wrapped up in cloth.
Oh no.
He unwraps to show that when the bird hit him,
Mm.
it got Rodney,
Oh.
too.
Why am I tearing
Oh
up right
man,
now?
me too.
Rodney!
And then we see Lotus kind of, like, get up after, like, tending the whole, tending, like, the burial site. He gets up and starts walking away, and you can see poorly written on, like, a piece
Aw.
of bark, Rodney.
Oh man,
That made me cry.
I didn't even think of that when you got hit. Like that didn't occur to me at
Yeah.
all.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of fucking damage.
It
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oof.
Oh, rip Rodney.
Rip Rodney,
Rodney.
man.
No, why do you guys make me cry?
Sorry.
It's the last
Because You
session.
made me cry with your stupid rebooting nonsense.
My robot back in
Ugh.
Oh
bunkers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think it's just a tradition now.
Also,
Oh.
apparently rats only live like 2 years, so Rodney
Oh.
was up there.
He was probably
already.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Rats only live 2 years?
That makes sense. Fruit
That's what
flies
Google
live a
said.
day.
I feel like I had
That's
my
wild.
rats for a lot longer. I don't know. They got tumors though and died.
Oh man.
Yeah.
at least they didn't explode.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I
That's
guess
good.
that's
a
it.
good point. They're weak bodies.
Did we already announce the next game?
no, we haven't.
Announce it now.
Ooh.
Good.
That was really good. Yeah.
That was a
We're going to be playing City of Mist,
Woo.
if you guys didn't already know. And I am going to be emceeing for it, which is GMing or DMing, but Master of Ceremonies MC. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exciting.
get excited. Super fun.
Awesome.
Sick.
Yeah. There's going to be some one shot, like,
Yeah, we'll
I say
have a-
one shots, but like,
We're gonna have some side quests
Yeah.
before we go on our
Yeah.
next campaign.
yeah, side
Yeah.
quests. That's what we call them. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, so it's going to be a
Fun.
while, but
Thank
City
you all
of
for
Mist. We're all
Yeah.
very excited.
coming on that adventure with me. I know it was kind of crazy at the end.
It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
It was.
No, it
really,
was so
really
fun.
good, man.
Running that
Yeah.
adventure for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've said something similar off mic, but it's like hard when you find a game that you're really passionate about and you realize that you're the only one that's going to run it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's not necessarily something that you would normally run yourself, because like you said earlier, like you're more of like a high fantasy type guy. But I'm so glad that you bit the bullet and chose to run this for us, because like I would like to think that eventually we would have gotten to it, but like you never know. There's tons of games out there, you know, and so I'm happy that we got to experience it. So
me too.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our listeners are as well, and if they're not, heck them.
Yeah,
God among men.
But yeah, okay, cool. I think that's it.
Okay.
Unless anyone has closing remarks, I don't. Our listeners are stinky. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Cool. See you guys.
Discord, Patreon, Instagram, all that good stuff.
See us on at Nova Open if you are in the DC area.
We're in at the end of August 30. Yeah. No. We'll probably have more info. We have a link in our bio on Instagram. It's got Linktree. I don't know how to talk. Sorry. I was like trying to be helpful and add, and then I said that. All right.
Later, rejects.
Bye.
Bye.